This is an interesting little slice of nature. I put a camera and some birdseed back in a conservation area well behind the backyard, so I was actually trying to see if I could find some ground feeding birds, but as you might imagine, a squirrel was the first thing to discover the seed. But this is not a backyard squirrel. This is a squirrel that lives out in the conservation area, so it's not a backyard squirrel. It's not a human, not used to humans, not habituated. What's interesting though is the cotton rat and the squirrel both showed up in the same place, and this is under a thick longleaf pine forest with the understory of palmetto and scrub. So there's a real thick forest litter, and the cotton rat, which is usually nocturnal, will come out a little bit in the daytime but stay close to cover. So he tends to burrow under the heavy forest litter, the mostly pine straw and oak leaves. What's really funny right here is you can see the squirrel is sitting there and he feels something under his feet, and the rat actually has come up from underneath and goosed him from underneath while he was sitting there, and then popped his head up. And this went on for quite a while, and you can see that the squirrel and the rat are feeding, basically nose to nose. The rat's, for the most part, trying to hide under the pine straw, but the squirrel knows it's there, and they're feeding off the same pile, literally almost nose to nose. And what's interesting is the squirrel makes no attempt to frighten off the rat or even make eye contact, which is totally different than how a squirrel would behave in the backyard. A greedy, habituated squirrel, they can barely tolerate each other sharing the food, let alone another small animal. The other thing that's interesting is just see how small the wild cotton rat is, as opposed to the huge Norway rats or the roof rat or brown rat that invaded the North America, centuries ago, that can grow to several pounds and become quite huge. This wild native cotton rat is a diminutive little rat, and the squirrel towers over this little rat, which only weighs a few ounces. And this little rat is, the base of the food chain in the conservation area behind the backyard, preyed on by all sorts of snakes and mammals. But it's kind of just interesting to see this little slice of nature where a gray squirrel that's not used to humans and certainly must have thought he stumbled onto a gold mine with his birdseed, and the rat, which of course they're both technically rodents, so I guess maybe they're like second cousins or something, but they seem to get along quite well.